Hello, everyone. I am live Friday live Q&A. How is everyone doing? Good to see you all. I'm live across all platforms. So I'm going to give all of you a moment to connect, jump in, say hello, give me a little wave, a thumbs up, heart, something. So I know you're out there before I jump into the news story for today. I have a good one today. One that's near and dear to my heart, but also quite interesting. So I have something to chat about that hopefully you guys will have some questions about, and we'll also jump into our normal live Q&A because that's what Fridays are all about. So anyone have any awesome plans for this weekend? I'm going to actually take it very easy, which sounds awesome. It's going to be 80 degrees here in Phoenix today. So a lot of people are like, wow, it's getting hot. No, I am so happy. Oh, I'm so happy. I am not a rain and cold person. I do not like it. And I left the Northwest for a reason. I love the sunshine. And so I'm psyched to have some sunshine today. I think I'll be able to get outside, have a little walk. Anyone over there on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, please give me a hello so I know that you can hear me, and then I will dive in. I see there's a couple people out there. Hi, Erin. Thank you so much, hon. Facebook's working well. So thank you to all of you over on Instagram that said hello. Let's jump in. I have a news story for today. Can we talk cancer today? So as you all may know, my mom died of cancer. It was horrible. Many of you I know have gone through this. I just had a good friend lose her dad to cancer last week as well. And it's horrible. And you obviously know how much I think that stress is related to not only the development of cancer, but the spread of cancer. So there was a study. This was an article that just came out. And I want to just run with me on this because I'm not sure I follow the logic of treatment at the end, but just run with me on this. Okay. So basically, it's an article and they say, they come out starting out saying, hey, stress is inevitable. And we all know it could be terrible for your health, but because it increases heart attack and a stroke, but did you know it can also increase the spread of cancer? Right? That's their little headline. So they did this study on mice where the mice had cancer that they removed the tumor and left a few cells to see if they exposed them to stress, meaning that they increased their cortisol levels, if it would spread faster than if they didn't. So the control group was not exposed to stress. The, experimental group was exposed to stress. And they found that the mice were 4 times an increase of metastatic cancer, or spread of cancer, 4 times that of those that weren't exposed to stress. So they come to the conclusion that cortisol spreads cancer. So then they go into it more deeply and they say, how does this happen? You guys with me so far? Thumbs up? Yeah. So when you're exposed to cortisol, okay, which is what happens in response to stress, it impacts your white blood cells, specifically neutrophils. And these neutrophils get sticky and they form like this spider-like web type thing, right? And this is normally done in order to fight incoming organisms. But when you're dealing with cancer cells, it actually spreads the cancer cells. So they found that when you're exposed to stress, these little NETs, which is what they call them, these little spider-like things, grow, right? So they determined if we could stop that, we could stop the spread of cancer. So the treatment they're proposing is to inject something, a drug, that will stop the formation of these NETs, okay? And that will help us stop the spread of cancer. Sounds great, right? But just think about that for a minute. So I'm sitting here. I'm going to give you the naturopathic perspective on this because this is what got me. I was like, well, wait a minute. Okay. So we know that stress causes these neutrophils to form these little NETs, right? And we know that blocking cortisol or not stimulating cortisol excessively in the first place would actually prevent them from happening. So instead of looking at measures that would lower cortisol to stop the process, we're going to go in and block the body's natural immune response to create these NETs because it's under stress. And that's the solution? Now think about this for a second. When we look at a lot of neurological conditions, even like epilepsy, for example, you can get a vagus nerve stimulator to help take the body out of that stress response. Okay. So what is the vagus nerve? The vagus nerve is what goes through our entire body. It runs through our entire body and it calms our body down. It's one of those nerves that when you stimulate it, it actually calms you. It lowers cortisol levels. It puts you in that zen, that happy place. We're supposed to be in that place 80% of our day, but unfortunately, we spend like 90% of our day not in that state, right? So you can actually stimulate the vagus nerve to calm the body down with a little machine. So my question is, okay, cool. They found that cortisol causes this spread. So why aren't they trying to stimulate the vagus nerve first to see if that would make a difference? Because if that would make a difference, not only would it stop the spread of cancer, potentially, but it would also lower the risk of heart disease, stroke, which they've already said in the beginning of the article is related to cortisol. It would fix digestive issues. It would fix a lot of our mental health issues. It would help us sleep better, feel better, use proper nutrition better, create energy better, right? So there's no side effect to doing that. So I'm like, wait a minute. They want to inject some new drug to block what the body's naturally trying to do in response to stress instead of actually looking at why it happened in the first place. If you're going to stress the mice out and raise their cortisol and it causes a spread of cancer, isn't the problem the raise of cortisol? It's not really the immune system's reaction to it, right? I mean, our immune system's supposed to react to that. That's normal. Does this make sense? So it was kind of an interesting study. One, because of course, I love it when any study comes out and says, hey, stress causes cancer or stress metastasizes cancer. But then they don't do anything about it. No? Is stress truly inevitable? I'm going to pose this question to you guys. Is stress inevitable? You think so? Anyone? Did I lose you all? I think it's kind of fun. No? I don't have any questions yet, so I'm just running with it. You got to run with me. Is stress inevitable? No. Good. No. I like it. Right? Yes. Yes. Okay. So yes, I got a lot of yeses too, to some degree. Okay. So here's my take on that. Is there always going to be stuff around us that can cause stress on us? Of course. Do we have to interpret it as stress? Do we have to take it into our souls, into our body, into our space as stress? No. You actually have control how much of that impacts you. Is there always going to be crap going on? Yeah. Do you have to buy into it? Do you have to act on it? No. So in some degree, we actually do have control over it, right? And we could also look at if we set our body up well to just have acute episodes of stress just every so often, we can survive that. But when we're doing this chronic stress and chronic stress and chronic stress, let's go back to this cancer study. We know directly that high levels of cortisol over periods of time will actually stimulate neutrophil problems, white blood cell problems. So of course that's going to have an impact on the immune system. So why are we suppressing the immune system instead of regulating the cortisol? Right? And here I am out there saying, I can help you regulate your cortisol. I can help you improve lower heart disease, lower cancer, improve your digestive health, improve your energy, improve your sleep, improve your mood. And some people are like, whatever, lady. Adrenal fatigue's not real. What are you talking about? Oh, by the way, did you see the new study that stress causes metastasis of cancer? Duh. Of course it does. Of course it does. Right? So we have the power to actually start to change that because we actually have the power as to what we deem stressful, right? I always tell this story when my kids were little and I was so overworked. I was not in a good space, right? With myself, with my life, I was just overworked. And my mom was going through cancer and I was living in a frequency that it was letting everyone else's problems impact me, right? And I can't remember if it was Cameron or Shay when they were little and they came into the kitchen and I was like making dinner or making something. I don't know what I was doing. And they were like, can I have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? And I freaking lost my lid on them. I mean, what do you mean you want a sandwich? I mean, this is my child asking for food. Like, well, why did I snap at him, right? I still beat myself up about that day, but because I just feel bad. But at the same time, it goes to show you how now they can walk up and ask for a sandwich. And I'm like, cool, buddy. Yeah, let me help you out. Right. Same situation, different response. The way that I let the outside world impact me is different than it was then. Now I do reflect on, do I have time? Am I taking care of myself? Am I setting boundaries? I don't always let other people's stuff get in my way. Every so often, it's a learning process, but it's getting better and better. So by regulating my own cortisol levels, I'm actually improving my health. And a lot of people ask, well, how does your skin stay so bright? How do you sleep so well? What supplements do you take? And yes, I take supplements, but I'm taking supplements to supplement the little aspects of stress that I can't avoid, because I do own 2 companies, right? So there is stuff moving all the time. I have kids, I have schedules, I have a husband, I have, responsibilities, but it's different than it was. Does that make sense? So is stress controllable? It is. Do we have to give into it at detriment of our health? No, we don't. How do we do that, Dr. Pingel? It's really not that hard. It just takes commitment. We talked last week about, someone had asked about, how do I change my diet? How do I switch from, eating poorly to eating well? And I said, you just make the change. You commit to the change. Nobody's forcing you to eat something else. You're making that choice, right? So we talked last week about making choices and committing to them. You have a choice between, do you have coffee in the morning, or do you have tea? Do you have water? Do you have soda? You can make that choice, right? Nobody pours the soda down your throat, right? You made the choice, right? So it does come down to making choices. And I think that's the hardest part, because we like comfort. We don't like to change. I personally love to change. I'm a very changeable person. I love it because I'm a Gemini. So I'm cool. It's cool. If I'm like secluded and quiet and choosing one thing and going another direction, like I'm not scared of change. Change is fun. But a lot of people, it's hard, right? So I think really diving deep into why you need to make a change, and then just making that choice to change, right? Hi, Dr. P. Jim A here. Hi, Jim. Hi, Richard. Hi, Robin. Hi, Laura. Hi, Aaron. Right? So what do you guys think about that study? Do you think, why didn't they just investigate how to, I would have done a separate leg of that and said, okay, cool. So we learned that we can block the immune response. That might not be a great thing. So what if we used a vagus stimulator, or had, I don't know, you couldn't make a mouse hum, but do things that would stimulate the vagus nerve to calm the body down, and see if you had a response, right? I would find that really fascinating, because there's tons of studies on stimulating the vagus nerve. If you've never heard of the vagus nerve, this is something to look up. And it's not spelled like Las Vegas, although I always say, let's go to Vegas, because meaning let's go to the vagus nerve, because that's where we want to be, right? That's the best place to be in our health, is in the vagus nerve. But it's VA, not VE, but look it up. Meditation, right? And granted, this was a mouse study. I get they can't get a mouse to meditate. That would be pretty freaking funny, but they can, even injecting them with something that calms the body down, that would stimulate the vagus nerve in some way. There's a bunch of other things they could do. I would be really interested to see if the Met slowed just simply by lowering the constant influx of cortisol. And their argument is that once you have cancer, you're stressed out. And I don't doubt that, because obviously I've watched my mom pass of cancer. But one thing that she started doing excessively when she had cancer was she was painting, because it would relax her. Right? So there are things that can be done, like meditation, painting, walking, humming, singing, really valuing yourself. The goal here, guys, though, is I'm in preventative medicine, right? I don't treat cancer after the fact, but what if we could prevent it by doing these things sooner? And is there any harm in it? Is there any harm in singing every day to stimulate the vagus nerve? Other than people hearing me sing, which I love to sing just about as much as I love to dance, but I can't sing worth hoot. At least I can dance, but I cannot sing. So, but is it harmful to meditate every day? No. Is it harmful to take a walk every day? No. Is it harmful to sing, dance, hum, smile, laugh? All these things that stimulate the vagus nerve, are they harmful to you? No. So why aren't we recommending those as a whole in preventative medicine? Why aren't we talking about those at the doctor's office whenever you go for your physical? Hey, your labs look pretty good. Here's some things you could do to keep them that way. Or here's things that you could do to level it up. We've seen that stress causes heart attack, stroke, cancer, sleep problems, mental issues. So let's talk about how we can reduce the stress on your body and the stimulation of stress on your body and your cortisol levels so that you can prevent these things. Has any of you had doctors that say that to you? Like, why not? By the way, this is a live Q&A. I just don't see any questions on Instagram. I think one just came through on Facebook, so I will jump into those. But just something to think about. I just wanted to open up with this topic just for some conversation. And if you guys have thoughts on it, start popping it below, and we can, I'll work it into the Q&A, because I'm really curious why we don't do that. Is it just because the pharmaceutical companies are funding the study? Or are we truly trying to find out how to change health, right? If we're truly trying to figure out how to change health, we need to have a lot more conversations about cortisol and a lot more conversations about what we allow to impact our body and what health is, right? Is health the management of disease, the avoidance of disease? Is it optimal health? What is it, right? What is healthy? Another question to ponder. Anyway, good. Thumbs up, hearts. Was that a good topic? I'm trying to open with different topics each week, so I'm curious what gets you guys fired up, because I know what gets me fired up. Today I have my herbs in my water. There's some hearts on 100%. Thank you. I never know. You never know what fires you up. All right. So I do have a question over here. Let's see. Any suggestions for people who are sensitive to loud noises, like loud cars and motorcycles driving through a neighborhood? I'm wondering if it's from weak adrenal glands or problem with the nervous system. My first suggestion was going to be, if you're really startled by things, typically it's an overactive nervous system, which is typically an overactive sympathetic nervous system, which is linked to adrenal stimulation. So yes, that would mean that you're kind of running at a bzzz all the time. So when something goes off, it jumps. In fact, there's at the Arizona Science Center, I used to take my kids there all the time. They have this cool little experiment where you sit in a chair and you put on headphones, and like out of the blue, it'll just throw a loud noise at you, and it measures how fast your heart rate goes up. And my husband used to get a total kick out of this, because he's like not bothered by that at all. Like, not at all. Like, you could startle the crap out of him and his heart rate might go up like a beat. It's crazy. Put me in there and there was a startle, and I was like, ah! Like, I panicked, right? And I was like, okay, boy, I really need to like get this under control. And it's funny, I need to do it now, because I did that when the kids were younger, which was when I was going through a lot of adrenal fatigue, when I was talking about earlier with the sandwich and things like that. So, but seeing where your baseline is and what stimulates you. I mean, if you're at a low baseline and you're sitting in the parasympathetic nervous system where the vagus nerve is stimulated, your reaction to that is going to be swift and precise, but not long-term, right? Because you're going to be more in tune with it. So you're going to notice it, but it won't leave you shaking for a while, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. Skin cancer. What about skin cancer, love? Oh, what you get fired up about is skin cancer. There was an article today actually on that melanoma was increasing. I almost picked that article, but I really decided to go with the general cancer. But yeah, they were saying, why is melanoma increasing? And I haven't read it yet. I'm sure I'll find something hilarious in it, because I don't know. We'll see. I'll read it. Maybe I'll do it next week. But I'm in Arizona and we're in the sun all the time. And it's just interesting. It's just interesting to me who gets skin cancer and who doesn't. Because there's a lot of us in Arizona that are in the sun all the time and we don't. But there's people that live in Seattle, they get it all the time and they're not exposed to sun. So I do wonder, like, what other factors are involved, right? 5 times skin cancer for you. Yeah. How are your adrenals? I'm just wondering. Right. So I just wonder, like, they always say, well, is it genetics? Is it environment? Right. I think it's very much a combination of both. Right. There's a ton of studies, they always said, oh, dementia is genetic. Dementia, if your parents had it, you'll get it. There's so many studies that combat that. and say that it's lifestyle related, it's inflammation related, it's blood sugar related, and stress related, that have nothing to do with the genetics of it. So, it's always interesting. I guess it's just a time continuum of what we learn as we go along. But there's pretty much no doubt that our food is getting worse, our environment's getting worse, our stress is getting worse, right? So I don't understand why we aren't promoting things that don't have side effect that would help with all of this. Right? I just don't get it. I don't see the harm. My job as a physician, the first oath I took was first do no harm. So to me, I'm like, well, heck, if I can stimulate the vagus nerve and it doesn't cause any harm to the body, well, then heck, why aren't we doing it? Right? If it has potential improvement, right? No other questions today? You guys have questions, or you just want me to stay on a roll? I can do it. I can pull up another article. We can start looking through other stuff if you want, or start throwing some questions at me. Oh my gosh, that's funny. It is. I talked about being a Gemini, and that's my mug today. Gemini. Yes, adrenals are healing. They were awful for years after the depot shot, but my levels are getting better. Thankfully, sunblock, zinc oxide to limit chemicals. Yeah. Yeah. But there's also a lot of research with people that don't use sunscreen that don't get melanoma. So it's really a kind of confusing topic, isn't it? But definitely use the zinc oxide is definitely preferable. What do I know about sea moss? I have an article. I think actually it might be an iris moss. Let me look. I haven't used sea moss a lot. I know it's used a lot in vegan cooking, like in some desserts and stuff like that to hold things together. I have an article on Irish moss on my website. But anytime you're looking at sea, right, the sea chemicals, you're looking at a lot of minerals. So you're basically looking at a mineral supplement, right? I think for me, some of the things more recently, which I wouldn't really have been concerned with many, many years ago, is what is the source of this? What's the toxicity of the water that it's coming out of? Our waters are getting so toxic now at this point that even fish that used to be considered healthy is now, I think they did, I don't have the exact data on this because it was a while back. It's in my brain, but there was a study they did. They pulled wild Alaskan salmon, right? Which used to be the grand poobah of salmon, right? You're like, oh, definitely eat wild Alaskan. And they analyzed it and it was like full of Prozac. It was like ridiculously high levels of antidepressants, right? Because of the contaminations in the water. So they thought, okay, maybe it's from people dumping it. Maybe it's from, we don't know, but they're starting to get more toxic and toxic. So that's kind of my concern with any type of algae as well, as it's coming from the same waters. So how do we assure its toxicity? And I don't know if we know that answer yet. Because this has more been in the last many years, we've really seen a change in the toxicity of animal products. And I think it's just a biohazard of some of the stuff going into the water. But typically in cooking, Irish moss is used as a binder. Like you can make cheesecakes out of it. Not real ones, like vegan cheesecakes, pies, like key lime pies, things like that. Instead of using like egg whites, you can use Irish moss. I bought some and tried to cook with it once and it was pretty cumbersome. So I actually haven't played with it that much, Yes, they are amazing. Yeah. So confusing. Yes. Oh, the Truth About Cancer series. It can save you or a loved one's life. Yeah. My mom was a toxic exposure, we believe. She had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, but she was very high strung. She was. I grew up in that life. She was just always worried about everything. It was just constant. Like if I would have known, and I didn't get a hold of her after med school until the last, 7 years of her life. And that's when I got a hold of her to be able to start making some change. And I saw some really valuable changes in her. Like I said, she started painting, she started relaxing. She extended her cancer diagnosis by so long. They had given her less than 5 years and she made it 13, didn't have any impact on that cancer, any growth till year 12. And I do attribute that to us treating the adrenal glands and getting her back into a parasympathetic state. So it did. It gave her, not only prolonged her life, but gave her a better quality of life during that. It wasn't like giving a medication where, yeah, you prolong life, but they're bedridden. Like, I don't want to prolong my life if I'm bedridden. Like, just don't give it to me. Like, if it's going to give me a better quality of life, then we can talk. I'd rather live shorter and have a better quality of life than live longer and not. Anyone else? I just don't. Like, I'm here to be here. Like, I'm here to live life. That's what I'm going to do. As long as I'm able to live life, I'm going to live it. And then when it's over, it's over. And that's just the way it is. And there's nothing I can do about that. But I'm going to do everything I can to live the best life I can while I'm still here. Right. See? Definitely. Yeah. I saw something here I wanted to catch up on. Let's see. There was a couple questions. These are great. So I hope that helps on sea moss. If you go to drpingel.com, I do have an article on Irish moss, and it talks about like the minerals in it and things like that. It was written many years ago though, so I don't touch on the toxicity. My motto also, first, do no harm. Yeah, in general, can we just live our life that way? Like, not just doctors. I mean, those are our mottos. Those are our vows, but can't we just all live that life? What if we all just committed right now to first do no harm? The world would be so much nicer. We're always out to get everybody else, aren't we? Silly. What do you think about vagus nerve ear stim? I hum, sing, and gargle right now. Well, first of all, humming, singing, and gargling is great. I love ear stimulation for the vagus nerve. I think it's fantastic. In fact, I have ear seeds. I haven't worn them in a while. I'll have to put them back on. I have ear seeds that I put on my ears periodically in some of the stimulation points, particularly in here in Shenmen. So yeah, I need to put those back on. Thanks for the reminder. I love them. They're great. Yeah. My functional neurologist says they all work. Yeah. I wish more people knew about the motto, do no harm. They may change the way they treat adrenals. Right. Right. So what's crazy, if I talk to an endocrinologist, a traditional endocrinologist, and I say the adrenal glands are irregular, dysregulated, or low, they're like, oh, give them cortisone. Okay. But they're already in sympathetic state. They're already overstimulating their adrenals. So you want to stimulate them further? Why aren't we talking about things that would calm the body so that the body can actually heal and regulate? Why are we immediately giving them a stimulant? It doesn't make any physiological sense, to be honest. Right? Am I making sense? Does that make sense? Like, if your adrenals are shot, it's because you've burned them out, right? So why are we trying to burn them out more? I don't understand. I don't get it. I've never understood it. And nobody can explain it to me in a logical way. I'm like, I just don't get it, you know? And I'm not talking about Addison's disease, guys. That's an actual disease. That's a genetic disease. I'm talking about the rest of us, right? That run like crazy, do too much, stress ourselves out, worry about everything. Anyone else out there? Any other type A personalities out there? Anyone? I'm thankful I'm a Gemini because I'm a nice combination between a type A and a type B, depending on my mood. Yeah, you're welcome. I have a thank you, Dr. Pingel. So do you feel if you are hyper-focused on why with adrenals it causes more stress? I'm working on calming the CNS. So if you're hyper-focused, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. There's a level of acceptance that comes with stress, right? There is. There's a level of, look, I have no control over this situation, so I'm not going to worry over it, right? I think trying to treat the adrenals constantly and take tons of supplements and what's going to work and what's going to give me energy and what's going to make me sleep better and what's going to make me digest better is just going to stress you out. And I say that to my clients a lot. I'm like, look, you just have to trust I've got your back. I'm going to give you the nutrients you need. You don't need to worry about it. Like, don't worry about it. I want you to focus on things that you can do to be present in your own life today. Be present in your life, connect with the people you love, and block out. That's what most of my patients are doing their work on. They're not doing their work on trying to figure out what supplements to take or whatever. That's my job. They're trying to do the work on how do I block out the energies I don't want and bring in the energies I want. And that's a lot of work in itself, but it's work that requires you to be present in the parasympathetic nervous system. So it actually requires you to remove yourself from the stress response, which is really, really, really important. Does that make sense? You guys following me there? Or is that too fast? Right? So many people try to take hyper control over their health. And I love the dedication to it, by the way. I mean, my clients are all health focused, Dr. Googlers, right? They all are. Because what can I do about blah, blah, blah? What can I do about blah, blah, blah? But there's a point where that does cause too much stress because you're bringing in information where it's basically too much information, right? In order to figure something out. And you really do just need a guide. And that's where people bring me on. So I'm like, okay, I'll do the research for you. I'll look at your labs. I'll talk to you about what we're going to do, but you're just going to have to trust me that this is what we need to do here. And here's what I want you to work on. I want you to work on being in the parasympathetic state. And then the two start to meld and they come together. And then the patient and then my clients get out of that sympathetic state. And then I'm able to actually explain the supplements more and they can kind of take that back over again. So it's like this process of blocking and allowing in the energy you want in this world. Does that make sense? Type A and Gemini here. Woo, woo. You got a type B in there too somewhere. I know it. That's why they always say we have multiple personalities. I do love my quiet time. I'm very outgoing and social, and I love being around people, but I also really love my quiet time. I really do. I curl up with my dog in my warm blanket and I watch a funny movie and I'm like totally happy. I don't mind. Carrie says, I have breast cancer and I absolutely believe in quality over quantity. Absolutely, Carrie. And do you follow Dr. Jen Simmons? You should. If you don't, follow her. Okay. She just wrote a book, Answer to Breast Cancer. She's amazing. She's brilliant. She has a lot of great information for you. So check her out. Okay. I don't know. I'm sure she's on Facebook as well. I see you're on Facebook. I know she's on Instagram at Dr. Jen Simmons, and that's with 2 N's, Jenn. Hello from Jamaica. Well, hello. I caught up on questions. Wow. Does that mean I have to go or do you guys have more? Has today been interesting? What topics do you want me to talk about next time? I have Amy over here on Facebook asking if she can pick my brain. I'll do my best. How about that? And I see the question from Westy Weave. I'll come right back to you, hon. So if anyone else has questions, pop them below. I'll do the next series and then I'm out. Okay. Off to Pilates. I have Pilates and a massage today. Speaking of parasympathetic activity, that's my day. Those are my Fridays. They're my days. Okay. My son, Logan, with autism was just hospitalized for 3 weeks due to a ruptured appendix. Oh boy. One said it was the worst they'd ever seen. He had 2 surgeries due to abscesses and infectious fluid. Oh, that's so hard, honey. He almost died. What causes a ruptured appendix? And is there anything we can do to keep the family safe from it happening to us? If there's any way, we're paranoid now. Well, they removed it, right? He doesn't have it anymore now, right? So it's interesting. First, honestly, I would look at my 4 pillars with anything like this. You've got to look at nutrition. What type of nutrition is going into the body? Are you having daily bowel movement? So the appendix is basically this little thing that hangs off the end of the colon. Okay. So if your colon is inflamed, if your GI is inflamed, it can cause an inflamed appendix. So I would first look to the GI and I would say, what's the gut flora? Maybe do some stool tests, see if you're digesting food well, see if there's any inflammation, look at the nutrition. Secondly, I would do exercises that help increase lymphatic flow, toxin removal through the body, right? Supporting the liver, moving the body, lots of water, lots of nutrition. And then lastly, the stress is something that will impact you here because if you're always worrying about it, I can guarantee you it's going to happen, right? We have that way. We have a way of thinking something and make something happen. Have you ever guys had that happen? You think about something and it actually occurs. We do have a way to do that in our body. So I always encourage you to not think the worst. Think about what are things I can do to prevent this and then be comfortable that you're doing everything you can. And if it ends up happening, there was nothing else you could do. It was going to happen anyway. Okay. So there's a mindset there. You have to trust the universe a little bit. Okay. But nutrition, really important. Lymphatics and toxin removal, really important. Lower inflammation, really important. Okay. Well, that's what I would look at. I hope that helps. Did that help? Okay. Yes, ma'am. All right. So concerning exercise, we should be doing things that do not stress the body. I love to lift weights and only with a trainer. What cardio do you recommend? I'm not saying you can't do cardio when you have adrenal fatigue. You absolutely can. But we have this myth. When we get stuck in stage 2 adrenal fatigue, we start gaining weight. Okay. And we have this myth that at that point, we're supposed to starve ourselves and do cardio every single day and push our body to its limits in order to lose weight. Any of you tried that and it doesn't work? Anyone? Give me a thumbs up if you've tried that and it doesn't work. Right? When you push the body too hard, it backfires on you. It will cause more weight around the abdomen. So You can do cardio, but it needs to be well balanced with activities that are strength training and parasympathetic in nature. It's a balance. It's not an all-in-one. It's not let's go hard. It's not when we were 20 and we would starve ourselves for a week and work out every day and we lose 10 pounds. That doesn't work, particularly as you get older. When you get over 40, it's even worse, right? And I hear even worse over 50. I'll let you know in 2 years. But it's important to have a balance there and have an understanding. So if you're doing something like that, you're working out hardcore, you're going to the gym every day, you're pumping yourself, you're doing whatever you can, you're restricting your food, and you are not seeing a change in your composition, the way your clothes fit and your weight, you're doing it wrong. And you're perpetuating the adrenal fatigue. Insulin's getting involved. Does that make sense? The other 2 pillars. Oh, I'm sorry. My 4 pillars. And this is what all my programs are based on. So we do have the Total Energy Turnaround Program coming up April 1st. And I help guide you through these 4 pillars. That's what we do as a group. It's awesome. It's so much fun. And it's the cart's going to open mid-March to start April 1st. Nutrition, exercise, supplement, and mindset. You have to do all 4 to heal. And they're all a work in progress. Sometimes you're really good. Some people just nail the nutrition right away. They're like, yeah, I got this, right? And they struggle with the exercise. Other people have the exercise down pat and they struggle with the nutrition. Most everyone struggles with the mindset. The supplements are easy. You take what you're told, right? Or you do research on what you need and you take it. Supplements are important to replenish, but they're not the solution. Okay, you have to do all 4. So I can teach you that. I can. Check out the Total Energy Turnaround Program, or thetotalenergyturnaround.com. You can also go to my website and find it, or my link in bio. Okay. And it's coming up. So if you want to add yourself to the wait list, you'll be the first to notified and the first with an option to join the group. It is a limited enrollment. So whoever's on the wait list gets the first offer to snap up a spot. And then it goes to the general public. So if you want to be one to consider a spot, like you're like, yeah, maybe that sounds great, go sign yourself up for the wait list now on the website so that you get dibs. There's quite a few of you on the wait list already, so I'm really psyched. I hope we have a nice group. Like I'm way excited. So, okay, couple more questions. I find I have a lack of bowel movements, basically non-existent, 10-ish days prior to my period. Is it due to a drop in progesterone, and how do I increase it? It's actually due to an increase in progesterone. Okay. So ever been pregnant? When you're pregnant and the progesterone gets up there, you don't go to the bathroom so well. So yeah, when the progesterone goes up, it actually slows our metabolism a bit. And this is a long process as to why, but it does. So here's some things you can do. Number 1, we also need more water during that time. You can definitely be taking fiber and increased fiber along with magnesium and vitamin C. If you're taking magnesium and vitamin C and you're not having bowel movements from that, then you need to look at fiber, minerals, and water, and exercise. So if you're moving your lymphatics, if you're exercising every day, the body wants to get rid of toxins. It's just natural. So sometimes when I have that situation, I do some Pilates workouts where I'm engaging my core, and some inversion exercises, maybe where I lay on the floor, like if my head is here and my feet are here, and I put my feet up like in a bridge and do raise and lower and really activate those lower abs to contract and release the abdominal cavity to get the colon moving. You can also massage in those areas. But typically when the hormones are slowing it down, I'd really be looking at liver, fiber, water, and exercise. And the magnesium's a nice extra gentle push. But if it's not working, then those other things need to be addressed. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Thank you. You're welcome. I went into stage 3 adrenal fatigue after hysterectomy. Any suggestions? How do you know you have stage 3? That's my first question for you. How do you know? And then I'll answer, and then I'll run. Good morning to all. Good morning. All right, I'm going to answer this question if you tell me. How do you know you have stage 3? Who told you that? Why? What do I see as stage 3? Stage 3 is basically you're not producing cortisol really at all. I rarely find it. It's rare. Tons of people in stage 2 to 3 where their levels are low in the morning or maybe low throughout the day and they spike at night, or maybe they spike randomly, but they're not out of cortisol. It's just tired. So my question is, are you a true clinical stage 3 where you literally are not making any cortisol, or is it that your cortisol is low and still dysregulated? And I've had a hysterectomy. And if anything, it took me out of adrenal fatigue because it helped with issues that were causing stress on my body. So I don't know if it's the hysterectomy. There might be some other factors there, but what I do is do a full workup at that point, and see where are the stressors on the body and start reversing those. And by looking at the 4 pillars, you usually find them. And you know where you usually find them? You can find them by what you're really resistant to fixing. You guys ever find that? Like I'll say to people, oh, I need you to cut out dairy. And they go, wait, what? I can't cut out dairy. You're kidding me. There's no way. Why would I cut out dairy? And I go, well, there's your problem. The people, if I go, you need to cut out dairy. And they're like, all right, okay. I'm like, okay, dairy is not their problem. Right? Or I say, hey, I need you to meditate every day. And then I come back and follow up and say, have you been meditating every day? Oh my God, no, I was just too busy. I mean, I tried, but I just couldn't do it. Okay, there's your problem. Right? What we resist is usually our problem. Right? So just think about that. What do you resist? And then look more at that. Yeah. So those 4 pillars usually tell me right away where's the problem. And that's what we do in the program is we try to figure out, what areas are really causing stress on the body and what do we really have to focus on so that you can go back to your doctor and say, hey, I've got this on lock, but here's where my problem is. And this problem is what I need to work on. And we can identify that together so that you can work with your local physician to figure it out and get to the bottom of it, right? Maybe stage 2, then functional neurologist says because cortisol high and hormones all over the board. That is absolutely not a stage 3. If anything, it's a stage 1 to stage 2. Which is where I spend the majority of my time. So I have tons of resources, like seriously, my book, my program, like get in the program. Let me help you. Right? Just let me help you. We'll get to the bottom of it. Most people I treat are in stage 1 or stage 2, and they're told that they're bottomed out, and they're not. They're just dysregulated. And that causes the hormones to go wonky pants, right? Okay. If you don't get under control, it will cause other problems. So, all right. That's it for today. I hope this was a great session. Did you guys like it? Here's what I need from you. If you liked it, share it, like it, comment, tag people. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, right? Follow my page, right? The more that we come together, the more people we get out there, the more interesting conversations we'll have on these live Q&As, the more people come in to contribute. And the bottom line is these live Q&As for me to fill my soul are about community. They're about being here for you, giving you my attention, and letting you guys work out some of the health issues that plague you. So I hope you will continue to show up, and I hope you will tag your friends and you'll give some thumbs ups and you'll follow and you'll keep showing up next week. And I'll try to find a good article for next week to discuss in the beginning as well. Any comments you may have after the fact, put them below. Comment. I do go back and answer them. So if you didn't get your question answered or you want to learn more, reach out. Okay. Would love to give you guys as many resources as I can. And I have a lot of different options available for all of you, depending on your budget, location, and needs. Okay. So, I do all the above and I have your book. Awesome. I look forward to this each Friday. Oh, thank you. 3 of my daughters have joined. Oh, how great. Welcome. This is awesome. All right, guys, I will see you next week at the same time. Thanks again for taking time out of your day with me. See you later.